Welcome to Oddball. I'm Charlotte Wilder. That is obviously not Amin Al-Hassan. That is dear friend of the show, basketball brilliance, Izzy Gutierrez. Izzy, thank you so much for joining me today.
That was a long pause there. I was trying to figure out where you were going to go after basketball, but brilliance is accepted.
Well, I realized that basketball brilliance, the grammar of that wasn't really doing what I wanted it to do, but I went with it, and I think it worked. So the bottom line is,
it's not an English class; it's a basketball podcast. We're good,
right? Thank you. It's really refreshing to hear you say that. All right, Izzy, we have to start with something. My favorite thing that happened this weekend, which was Jaylen Brown against Giannis Antetokounmpo. Not a play on the court, although I would argue this actually might be close to one. It all started when Giannis picked up an offensive foul for elbowing Jaylen Brown in the face on a post move. And after the play, Giannis was like, we're all cool. Don't worry about it. Offered a handshake. But he pulled what I am calling the too slow.
Whoa.
We have it right there. Is that what would you call that?
That's a great question because I didn't know what to call it. Like I was thinking maybe just call it the fake out, but I get the calling it the too slow, right? Because it's the old, high five, up high, down low, too slow. And Jaylen got.
The question I have though is down low too slow? Is that when you simply yank your hand away? Because this is the too cool where because if you're listening to this, Giannis takes his hand and puts it beside his head,
like slicks his hair back. That's the too cool thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So this was the weekend, Charlotte, for got your ass, right? Because I was watching, there was a clip from a Virginia Tech college football game where one fan who happened to be shirtless was the row behind another fan. And he did the old thing where he reached behind him and tapped him on the opposite shoulder. And the guy turned around so well. And that was all on national television. Like you're never going to get a got your ass moment better than that. And then Giannis went ahead and did it on national television in an NBA game.
I truly couldn't believe that the football one that you're referring to, I don't think I've ever seen one executed so well because the fan who tapped the other fan on the shoulder, he feigned innocence so beautifully. Giannis, this was a more obvious move. I think if this were me, Izzy, if I were Jaylen Brown, I think I would have been pissed in this moment.
Well, Charlotte, this is the part that gets me the most about this. There's not somebody that deep down inside you would have gotten more upset by this than Jaylen Brown. Like Jaylen Brown is the too cool for school guy that will not change that angry look on his face. And like deep down in there, he's having fun somewhere. He's just not going to let you see it. And if you get him with the fake handshake, too cool, like Jaylen wants to be the coolest person on the floor. And now you just got him with that. Oh my goodness. Inside, that was just fire in his belly. 100%.
Totally. He was pissed. And I think that moments like these are so telling because the only way you can react to this is with humor. You can only meet a move like this by being like, toss finger guns in there or something.
That's the way you react.
But Jaylen didn't. He earned a flagrant later in the game because he shoved Giannis during a layup attempt. And Jaylen was asked about that. He was asked about the missed handshake. And his response was, Giannis is a child. I'm just focused on helping my team get a win. And that's what we did tonight. So, you could say that he really shut it down, but I feel like you have to react to that with a little, you have to have some comeback of your own, don't you think, Izzy?
He is the vacuum of fun, Jaylen Brown is. Like, he's hoovering all the fun right out of this exchange. Like, you don't have to be that serious, man. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world today, a lot more serious than, you got to be quicker than that. And that's all that was. It was a commercial, is all that was. And so I don't understand the physical nature of Jaylen's response. I mean, you're not that really, is it emasculated? Is that the word? You're not that emasculated by that one move where you have to just go take the guy out next time down the floor.
Yeah, Izzy, what could you possibly be referring to by more serious stuff going on? I can't imagine.
Anything,
Giannis,
Charlotte, anything is more serious than basketball.
Literally all of it. Giannis reacted to being called a child. He didn't deny it. Here's what he said.
If I'm called a child, so be it. I have 3 childs of my own, and I think 6 nieces. Yeah, so I take care of a lot of kids around here. So sometimes when you're around the kids, you try to act like a kid. It's fun.
3 childs, Charlotte. He has 3 childs, and he still knows how to have more fun than Jaylen Brown, who I believe has 0 childs that I know of.
I'm really glad you picked up on 3 childs because that was the most important part of that to me. Izzy, I think too that Giannis is very good at reading people. He knows how to, if he's trying to get under somebody's skin, whether that is the management of the Bucks or another player like Jaylen Brown, he knows exactly how to do it. He knows like with the Bucks, I feel like he was very direct. He was like, if we don't get a championship, I'm leaving, which is kind of how you have to talk to executives. With Jaylen Brown, he's sort of goofing around because he knows it's going to get under his skin. He also said, if you recall, Jaylen Brown is the best player on the Celtics, which I would take as tried to shove another wedge through the Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum situation. Do you think I'm onto something at all?
I definitely think you're onto something in terms of Giannis knowing how to needle people. And frankly, this being the long con or the long game of his trade request, because he's done this several times. If this, then that. And so now here we are just dealing with players individually. And I think this isn't so much an anti-Jaylen Brown. It's more of a, I don't want to go to the Celtics situation, so don't trade for me, please. In fact, I'm going to show you just how much joy I bring to the game. And who teaches joy as a coaching method? Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors. So this was some way Giannis Antetokounmpo saying, no, I don't like the Celtics. I like the Warriors more. Trade me there. How about that?
Wow, you just went real galaxy brain on me there, Izzy. I absolutely love it. I would argue that Joe Mazzulla is the coach of joy, the man who said that the floor tasted like blood.
That's not fun. What's fun about watching that same movie all the time that he watches? What's the Boston movie that he watches a million times?
First of all, I'm upset that you would forget the name, but it's The Town, an artistic masterpiece. Izzy, let's keep it in the East Coast. We have to talk about the Cavs, which isn't something I say all that often, but might be saying more often this season. They are the 12th team ever to start the season 11-0. 6 of those teams went to the finals. 3 of them won titles. What is happening in Cleveland?
Talking Cavs, what is this, 2016? Look, I'm doing that thing where when you don't really know the X's and O's and can't explain all of it, that you just give credit to a coaching staff or a coach. And because Kenny Atkinson is in his first year there in Cleveland, I'm going to give him credit. But it's not just so much because I've watched all 12 Cavs games, because I have not. It's just from knowing Kenny Atkinson and knowing the type of tactician that he is, knowing that he's going to have people ready, knowing that I believe he's going to keep an egoless locker room. And I think with that group, you can kind of see that. It seems like a group that, hey, there's not probably a bunch of egos bouncing around in there. You see a more efficient or even more efficient Evan Mobley. I will say, though, as a team, they're shooting 47.5% from 3 for the season, and it's a small sample size. That's not going to last as long. And so we'll see what happens when those shots aren't falling. I mean, obviously not having Max Strus, if they get him back, and maybe they will shoot 40-something% for the season. But I'd say right now it's probably a credit to Kenny Atkinson and the coaching staff. And, they were already a good roster to begin with. So 12-0 with a couple of close ones in there, not crazy shocking.
Right. With guys who are hurt being healthy now. I feel like something that I say more than anything else when I talk about sports is environment can often determine more about individual action than individual character. And I think to your point, whether it's starting with the coaching staff or whether it's just the correct mesh of personalities, something is really working there because you don't have this kind of synergy, for lack of a less obnoxious business term, without something really working. So I'm interested to see what goes on because maybe they can't keep up that insanely high shooting percentage, but also what if they do? The most recent team to start 11-0 was the 73-9 Warriors in 2016. So
Losers,
this really is
guys.
Yeah, the 2024 Warriors are also riding high on an 8-2 start to the season. They have wins over Boston without Jaylen Brown, but whatever. And Oklahoma City, where Chet got hurt. We'll talk about that. In their last 3 games. Is this 2016? Is this a remake? Or is this Cavs work? Like, what is happening? I'm losing my mind a little bit.
Well, in this case, it could be 2015, 2016, 2017, or 2018, because that was all Cavs and Warriors. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be a replay. Look, I think you get me to where the Cavs are more than just a second-round team, and I'll start listening to you. But I think that the Golden State Warriors are a legitimate team that you could say, hey, get them the good seed. They know how to win in the playoffs. Keep, prime Steph Curry, because he's still in his prime. Keep him healthy in a playoff series. I think I've got a decent chance there. And so if you're asking me, hey, Cavaliers or Warriors, which one will be able to sort of replay 2016? It's going to be the Warriors. I mean, no offense to the Cavs. I just don't see it yet. I don't know if Donovan Mitchell is that sort of transcendent talent yet. I know he's got a couple of 50-point games in the playoffs and seems to individually go off. But until you've seen his team go with him to that place, I don't see it.
Izzy, this is one of those things where I'm like, are they going to be in the finals? No, until they're in the finals. And I'm like, oh, they were going to be in the finals all along in terms of the Cavs. But you have a theory as to why the Cavs will not be in the finals. And I really like this. Can you tell the people what you've been thinking?
Yeah, no, I mean, I look at a couple of teams. I look at the 76ers in particular, and I actually look at the Milwaukee Bucks and I say, all right, they are a couple of teams that are just a few losses away from acknowledging, hey, this is going to be absolute chaos. We are not going to win anything. We need to sell off our major pieces before we end up in a terrible situation. I think it's going to be a tankathon for Cooper Flagg amongst the teams that we already know are bad, but there's going to be a couple of teams that are going to sell some pieces. And I think Milwaukee will be sold off for parts, starting with Giannis and Damian Lillard, and then some of those vets around him like Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton. And then you're going to see a situation in Philadelphia. Basically, look, Joel Embiid has already taken his stance against the fans. I don't deserve to be treated like this. I play too hard for this and play through too much for this city. He's already gone physically after the media. All right. We haven't seen or heard him go after the front office quite yet, but I know he's gotten him Paul George, but does he really love the whole Daryl Morey situation where it's just like, hey, try something different. Okay, make it work. I think Joel Embiid is going to want a new environment, and I don't think he's going to have to wait till the offseason to do it. Demand a trade and see how many pieces you can get and see if Philly and or Milwaukee will join the tank for Cooper Flagg train.
Izzy, I love that theory because this is my favorite thing about sports is we can sit here before the season and preseason say, well, the Bucks and the Sixers, huge expectations. And then by the trade deadline, everything has blown up. I had a feeling this season there was going to be something that we just couldn't see coming. And I think there's a good chance that you have nailed what that thing is.
I didn't even finish the thought. Obviously, if you're trading Giannis, you trade him, let's say, to the Warriors, and they're a mega favorite, right? You trade Joel Embiid, I don't know, to the Miami Heat or something, then all of a sudden they become sort of a postseason favorite. It changes everything. So if people ask me who's going to make the finals right now, I say, I don't know. Ask me in late February.
I love it. Well, we have to check in on the Lakers, our contractually obligated Lakers segment, which is often a LeBron James segment, but this time it's a JJ Redick segment because the Lakers head coach was caught on the sidelines slamming a chair on the ground repeatedly after a poor shot by D'Angelo Russell. I believe we have the footage of this. There he is. I've never seen this before, Izzy. He sits down in the chair.
I've seen this from children several times. This is crazy to me, the way... Not crazy, I guess a little bit unexpected, the lane that JJ is taking in this. And I know he hasn't always been Mr. Likeable, but he could have been a lot more likable going into this, right? When he was a media member, he sort of established himself as like, hey, I know what I know. Don't talk to me about this nonsense. This is who I am. You can't convince me otherwise. And so we already know you're smart. We already know probably you're a great X's and O's guy, but this me versus everybody, I just don't know if that's ever a winning position before you've actually won something. Maybe wait till you win a playoff series, a championship, and then you can show off sort of the smart alecky nature of yourself. But when you create this defensive posture from the beginning with the media, and then let's just say what it is, call out your player like that in public, you're not always going to have the quote unquote protection of LeBron James in this job. So maybe you want to handle these relationships a little bit differently. I don't know. Maybe he's going the right way and maybe he's just going to be wildly successful the way he is going right now. Me personally would have picked a different lane, at least early on.
It feels like he is sort of living and dying by every win and every loss almost. JJ explained his reaction and that chair slamming after the game. Here's what he said.
That was not like directed at him. Yes, it came after, I think, a shot in the corner that he took, if that's right. There was 25 plays that preceded that from a number of different players. And you're 1-3 on a road trip, and you get to a point where you feel like you're in a ball game on the road, and a play like that happens, and you let out some emotion, but it was not directed at D'Lo.
That's a lie. He knew exactly what play it was. By looking at him, he was lying. Second of all, I've never coached at this level, but I believe, Charlotte, we're going to borrow a phrase from every coach who's ever coached in the history of coaching. Never get too high, never get too low, JJ. It is not an excuse because it was 20 plays in a row that's how you responded. Because again, the player only sees that, and then his fans only see that, and then now you're answering a question in a press conference that probably shouldn't really have anything to do with how you responded to a player taking a shot.
It was interesting to me, JJ's response of, you're 1-3 on the road. It felt kind of like he was embodying this from a player perspective, because that is where he has come from. His experience of being 1-3 on the road has been as a player, where you do show that emotion sometimes more than, but as a coach, it is on you not to. I also think that this is interesting because the Lakers roster has always seemed a little bit disjointed to me. And it's like JJ sort of took an adversarial position to like, no, we've got this, but I don't know if the roster does got this. And if you remember that first game when JJ was mic'd up and he said, keep taking shots, they will fall. They will fall. And so it feels sort of like, sure. Did D'Angelo Russell take the best shot? No, but like, you could say, well, you told me to keep taking shots because they're going to fall. So I don't know.
I learned it from watching you, Coach.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do what you told me. Let's talk about the Nuggets, Izzy. They eked out a win over the Mavs over the weekend, 122-120. After a rocky start, Denver is 7-3, and we know why. There's one guy. His name is Nikola Jokic. He loves horses. Over the last 4 games, he has totaled 118 points, 63 rebounds, and 58 assists. No other player in NBA history has hit at least 3 of these numbers in any 4-game span before. And against the Mavs, Jokic became the first player in NBA history with 37 points, 18 rebounds, and 15 plus assists in one game. Is it over? Is he the MVP?
I mean,
What's
shout
going
out
on?
to Kyrie, by the way, who had 43 in that game and lost. 43, not a good amount of points to score. Giannis also scored 43 and lost. But just this quickly about Nikola Jokic is I saw a stat that said, or a post that said, he might lead the league in scoring, assists, and rebounds this year. And it's just, okay. I mean, like, what else can you do to be able to say not just the best basketball player of right now, but possibly the best basketball player ever? I know he's still building that resume, but good Lord. I mean, if he leads the league in points, rebounds, and assists for the season, what the hell else are we going to talk about?
You know what I think about, Izzy? This is probably because I am a Patriots fan, but when Giselle tweeted during a Super Bowl that my husband, when she was still married to Tom Brady, my husband can't catch and throw the ball at the same time. It's like Nikola Jokic sort of can't, like, he's the whole team. He's the offense. He gets back on defense. Like, we've never seen anything like this. So I'm just excited to keep watching him absolutely dominate. And I'm also excited for this next segment when we come back, called Hot Streak, and to talk about the Emirates NBA Cup, excuse me. Welcome back to Oddball. Izzy, real quick before we get to Hot Streak, we do have to mention that the player injuries are just piling up at this point. Just this week, Chet Holmgren is out with a hip fracture, which sounds very bad. He will be out 8 to 10 weeks before return to play protocol will be provided. Zion is out indefinitely with a hamstring strain. Ja Morant is week to week with right hip flexion. Kevin Durant, a left calf strain. He will be reevaluated in 2 weeks, and Tyrese Maxey is expected to be out a few weeks with a hamstring injury. this makes me very sad because not only are these stars of the league, people everyone wants to see, they are the most fun players to watch, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a bummer. And Kevin Durant, especially with that team getting off to the start that it got off to, and like doing it without that much from, let's say, Bradley Beal or Devin Booker. And now those guys are just like, great, now I have to carry the load here. But the one that probably makes me the saddest is the Chet Holmgren one, in large part because, you go to 8 to 10 weeks and saying, come on now, just say months. Like, I know you don't want to make it sound like it, but when you do the math, it's like, man, that's 2 to 3 months. That's a long time. So I feel bad for OKC.
Ugh, I just got sad as I realized that in real time as you said it. Damn. Okay. Well, on that note, it's time to play Hot Streak. The Emirates NBA Cup, which was formerly known as the in-season tournament, kicks off this week. Izzy, I can't wait. I got very obsessed with it last year. We're going to preview this with our segment Hot Streak. Hot Streak is presented by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Izzy, what we have to do is agree on a bet that will get a hot streak going. We have yet to hit a bet in this segment. We have yet to even get one.
You mean like all season so far? No, every single week you haven't gotten a single one right.
No, like forget about a streak. Like we just want one. We just want one right. Last week we bet on Suns -8 against the Lakers, but they won by 4. So anyway, continuing on, we're going to bet on the Mavs Warriors game.
Okay.
Because mostly I just want to talk about it. This is Klay's return to Golden State. And they're calling it like Salute Captain Klay. I believe we have a picture of the captain's hats.
I mean, raise your hand if you're not from the Bay Area and knew that they called him Captain Klay. There's going to be a small amount of people listening to raise their hand. Yeah, you're one of them. I knew that barely. The back of my mind kind of remembered that.
No, I didn't remember. I thought you meant raise your hand. I heard that entirely the wrong way. I had no idea they called him Captain Klay. I knew he drove a boat to work occasionally. Yeah. But Klay's last game for the Warriors was an 0-10 night in the play-in. So what do we think his stat line for tomorrow could be? I mean, he's going to come back in.
I'll tell you that.
Say that again?
A lot more than 10 shots it will be. I'm a little bothered by this, Charlotte, in large part because can we have some respect for the guy and not make it an in-season tournament game for his comeback? The floor is going to be different. The game's going to mean a little something. Like, you should just have a game where the Warriors don't care if they lose and Klay drops 40. It's just, hey, it's good vibes. Everything's great. Now you got an NBA Cup game in the middle of this and everybody's wearing weird captain hats. I don't really get it.
Yeah, the hat thing feels like a little bachelorette party adjacent. I don't know. Seems kind of strange to me. I sort of like this. I sort of like that the stakes are so high for Klay's return. It's just giving drama to an already fairly dramatic, or not. I mean, I'm sure everybody's cool with everybody because Klay won 4 championships with them. But the bet I'm pitching for this, let me know what you think, is something that we need to scroll to. Is the Warriors -2 or the Mavs +2? What do we take here?
Look, I normally would say bet on the team that has a little bit more to fight for, a little bit more to play for. Bet on the team that says, hey, Klay, we got you. We're not going to let this team beat you. But even in his heart of hearts, Klay Thompson does not dislike the Golden State Warriors. Like, he can't look at his splash brother and say, you're no longer my brother. And I don't think that he has that in him. And I also think on the other side, I think the Warriors, mostly Draymond and a little bit of Steph, have that jerk in them where they're just like, no. Like, I've won 4 titles with you. I know exactly what this game's going to mean to you. No. We didn't win 4 titles together because I'm passive, because I'm going to let somebody come into my building and do well. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Warriors -2 on this one. It doesn't matter what Kyrie and Luka do.
You know, I really like that, Izzy. I was going to say Mavs because Klay would be coming in determined, needing to win this for his ego. But I think you're right. I think that the egos of Steph Curry and Draymond Green will overwhelm almost anybody's, let alone the more mild Captain Klay.
And Klay's not going to know where he is. What is this floor? What are these colors? What is going on here? Am I even in the Bay Area?
Who's Steve Kerr? I've never met the man. Izzy, thank you so much for joining us. This went so well that you're in trouble because if Amin's ever out again, I'm going to make you come back.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay. Thanks for watching Oddball.